It's so good to see everybody here today. As was said, I had a long trip to get here. Yesterday, or is it the day before yesterday, I boarded a plane in Atlanta at 9 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, I landed in San Francisco. I got up that morning, had a meeting at Berkeley, and did my thing in the early afternoon, hopped another flight, and next thing you know, I was down here in D.C. And I was tired. But when I came in and saw the little ones, my spirit began to rise. When I came here and saw the parents and the families and the community members, my spirit started to get it, and now I'm about to turn up. Now, before I turn up, I would ask if you might indulge me. I was thinking about today's talk and I didn't quite know where I wanted to begin. I love the theme of this meeting. Can we give some love to the Luke Foundation for putting this event together? What more powerful of an idea is it than I want my children to do better than me, preparing today's youth for tomorrow's workforce. I'm a new father, and that little smiling bundle there on the screen is my daughter. And we will celebrate her 1 year of life in about 3 weeks. It's my firstborn. And I had my first Father's Day. And I wrote her a letter. And I'm going to try to hold it together. But I know I'm in the company of friends. And I'm going to ask you to indulge me as I read this letter. Because I think this letter helps us understand why we're here today. From the first moment I saw you, held you in my arms and whispered to your mother, "She's perfect. My life, my identity, my world was remixed for the good because of you." Every day I pinch myself, whether I'm at home, on the road, and say, "I'm a dad." I never really thought I'd be a dad, baby girl. To be honest, I never wanted the job. But that was because of my own demons. Demons of a biological father that was never in my life. And the feeling of never being adored by the father that was. And although he provided, he loved, he showed me what it means to sacrifice and to be a man. And for that, I will always love him, and he is my father. But that you in my life, I am different. I am remixed. I don't know how it happened. It just did. The same old me, the same DAW, just blended with a bit more focus on providing for my family, a bit more sacrifice to walk away from my work building great futures for America's youth, a bit more worry as I think about you each and every day, and a lot more love as my feelings for you are uncontainable. From the inside out, you have remixed me. As you exist, a spiritual avatar in the everyday of my life, a little light inside of me that with a quick thought brings a smile because I'm glad to be your dad, I'm proud to be your daddy, and I cherish the responsibility of being a father. Mommy will tell you, I cry nearly every time I look at you, or have a feeling of love, hope, or fear about your life and what it will be in the nation that we find ourselves in today. My love for you is palpable. I feel it in my heart and my soul. With your every smile, twinkle, coo, and bump of your legs. And even as I write and even as I speak to this audience today, my heart and my soul are welling. As I understand what your mommy means when she says, she is everything. because you are. Loving you makes me want to be a better person, a better husband, and a greater man. Now and forever, my happiness is yours. When you are in need, I will feel it. When you are sad, I will feel it. When you are in pain, I will feel it. When you have setbacks, I will feel them and know that I will always be there for you. To give you what you need, to protect you from harm, to lift you when you are sad, to comfort you through your pain, to love you without condition, to provide everything I can so that you can live life with vision, with courage, with love, with opportunity, and with freedom. With freedom. The freedom of knowing that your Father has and always will love you with all that He is, so that there is never a gap in your soul that comes from wondering if it is true. With wondering what it would feel like to know if your Father was truly in love with you. You will know every time I hold you, every time I kiss you, every time I scold you, every time I teach you, every time I speak with you, you will know. Because one of my favorite things to say to you each and every day is, Daddy loves you, Daddy loves you, Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you, Warner Bear. Thank you for remixing me as your father. I spent the entirety of my career in higher education. I've worked at the University of Michigan, I've worked at the University of Connecticut, I've worked at the University of Wisconsin. As was read in my bio, I was one of the youngest assistant provosts, vice provosts, associate chancellors that wrote guidance to this nation's colleges and universities when I was in my mid-30s. I've spoke at, lectured to, worked with, not just 300, but probably north of 500 organizations in this nation. My work has been lauded and celebrated, been on the cover of magazines, had the opportunity to write books, had the chance to do all of these things. But what I came to realize as I sat in the academy, what I came to realize, and what you all know today, and it's what brought you here, is that where I sat in higher education was too late. It was too late. It was too late to expand participation of girls in STEM. It was too late to put more of our young people on the pathway towards great futures. It was too late to stem the tide that we know exists each and every day when 15 million young people come home from school and are in environments where they're unsafe, uncared for, unloved, unenriched, and at risk and danger of being engaged in violent and poor behavior activities. That it gets worse during the summers, that 43 million young people are in environments that are unsafe, unriched, unloved, and uncared for. And we just came out of the summer. And we know what happens during the summer. If you are not in an enriched summer learning environment, then you will come crashing into that academic year worse off than when you left during the spring. What we know is as follows. For every month during the summer, if your young people are not engaged in some type of a learning environment, and I'm not talking about school part 2, I'm talking about a learning enriched space, then what we know is they will lose on average 1 month of math ability and 1 month of literacy ability. And what we know is this. That's when young people who come from more strong economic backgrounds and are in great experiences and great camps, that's when they go zooming by many of our kids in our communities. And what happens is the loss of summer, the summer loss is cumulative. What I mean by that is it builds and it gets worse and it gets worse, but it doesn't build in a positive way, it builds in a negative slide. So that by the 5th grade, oftentimes many of our young people are not 1, but they're 2 years behind their peers who come from other environments. It's one of the reasons why Boys and Girls Clubs of America has drawn a line in the sand in summer. And we just came out of our greatest summer ever. A summer in which we had 88,000 kids in our 6-week summer learning loss prevention program. And we will go to over 100,000 in 2015. One of the spaces where I felt like I was too late was to deal with what's going on with our males. Not that I ever lose sight of our girls, but what's going on with our males. My life and my mission is not to say I'm my brother's keeper. My mission is to be my brother's keeper. And we have to stop talking about it and start being about it, as each and every one of you are today. I've seen the future. We were here 2 weeks ago for the National Youth of the Year experience for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. We serve 4 million young people across this nation in 4,100 clubs. Our Youth of the Year competition and experience begins at the local clubhouse. Then young people go to the state level. Then they go to the regional level, and they ultimately come to the national level as part of the oldest and we believe the greatest youth development recognition program in this country. The winner gets a Toyota. I know, that's what I said. And as you can see from the picture on the screen, I was in fine form as I was in the company of our finalists. 6 amazing young women. Can we give it up for some of those Youth of the Year finalists? They were recognized as the embodiment of our Boys and Girls Clubs of America movement. That means that they are strong academically, they are strong in their service to community, and they are strong in their work trying to be healthy and live a life that will result in a healthier generation for this nation. 6 wonderful women. 1 from each of the regions across the country in which we are organized, and 1 that represented the military. They all are going to college. They all have a plan for the future, and they're absolutely what we want. One of the things I said to them, when I see you, I see the possibilities of my daughter. But I hope my daughter never has to go through the pain of the stories embodied in these young women. Because when I see the 6, I also ask the question, where are the boys? When I hear the stories, I also hear the story of 5 of the 6 had no father in their life. They had grandparents, they had aunts, they had uncles, they had love, and they had their club. I say these things because it amplifies the letter and the story that I began with. It helps us to crystallize even further into the issues that bring us here today. And my belief is we have to become 21st century youth development innovators. Everybody in this room has the possibility of being an innovator. Innovators are all about 5 key things. They're asking questions. Why? The questions are being asked by children of themselves and their friends. Girl, why are you going to do that? You know you don't need to. The questions are being asked by parents. What do you mean you didn't do your homework? The questions are being asked by educators. Don't you know that we've got to get through this? Innovators are asking questions. It's not the big things, it's the small things. Innovators are seeking solutions. Their parents being concerned enough to give of a Saturday to be at the Loop Conference. That's right. Innovators are always trying to find other innovators. Because when you're in a space, innovative possibility can occur. The 4th and the 5th thing, innovators don't just talk about it, they be about it. They have a bias towards action and towards doing. And once they figure out something that works, they go to scale on it. That means they take it from here and they just get bigger with it because they know it works. What we need is golden triangles of innovation in our community where social sector, community organizations, the government, and corporations all come together and build hope and possibility because we're all a part of what I refer to as a youth development ecosystem. In the 21st century, what's everybody got in their pocket right now? Cell phone, that's right. What does that cell phone do? Everything, I know that's right. But what that cell phone does is it connects you. It connects you in the internet. It connects you to friends across space and time. Allows you to access your Twitter, your Facebook, all of your various social media feeds. And what does every company want? Whether it's Apple, it's Microsoft, it's whomever, they want you to stay in their technological ecosystem. If you got an iPhone, they want you to have an iPad. If you got an iPad, they want you to be in the iCloud. If you're in the iCloud, they want you to be accessing and buying your funds through the iTunes. They keep you in the ecosystem. What we have to do in our communities is use the same perspective. Each parent in this room needs to understand where the youth development ecosystem of possibility is in your neighborhoods. Where's the library? Where's the Boys and Girls Club? What are the after-school enrichment programs? How are we doing in school and how is that feeding in? Where are the youth sports? It's all about understanding that ecosystem and keeping that ecosystem together and keeping it tight. Because what we know in the 21st century is as follows. It's all about thinking and problem solving, being technologically savvy, having strong communication abilities, being able to lead and follow in teams, and being able to move in different types of cultural spaces. I grew up in the inner city of Dayton, Ohio. I grew up going to my club. I never had a teacher that was not of the same race and ethnicity background until I got to boarding school. I didn't really go to school with anybody who wasn't African American or Caucasian, and my schools were mostly 90% African American. And I was doing very well, and I ended up going off to boarding school. I went to a very elite boarding school, Western Reserve Academy in Hudson, Ohio. It cost about $45,000 a year to go to that high school today. Remember I talked about that father, and I talked about the challenge of adulation, well, I talked about sacrifice, and I talked about love. My father and my mother sacrificed so I could go to that school. Sacrificed so I could be educated amongst the very finest educational environments in this nation. And I never forget when I got there and how I struggled academically. I was doing poor in geometry. I was doing poor in chemistry. I was doing poor in Latin. Borderline failing, and I had been a straight A student. But what I found is that the community in which I had been educated, where I was doing well, was not enough. And when I got to the true game, what I realized is that I was not prepared to win. But it was early on in the true game of life. And I'll never forget that someone leaned in for me. His name was Frank Longstreth. We affectionately referred to him as Stretch. He was about 67, 68 years old, Caucasian male, about 6'4", and just the gentlest soul I'd ever encountered in my life. Doesn't matter what your mentorship looks like. What matters is, do they love you? And I never forget, I was struggling academically, and he came to me and he said to me as follows. He said, Damon, I can help you. Do you want help? And I said, yeah, I want help. He's like, well, what are you prepared to do to help yourself? And then began a pathway to help me understand the technology of how great things happen for all of us. It always begins with self. It always begins with self. You know who this person is. That's Denzel. You know, I love it when I can put me and Denzel on the same screen. I feel like I'm doing something. Because a great future start there. And we know that 57% of our alumni for Boys and Girls Club said the club saved their lives. It was a lifeline to great hope and possibility. How many of you, by show of hands, have seen the movie Inception? Who's seen that movie Inception? Raise them high if you've seen it. Inception. Inception is a movie, and I recommend it by the lead actor in it is Leonardo DiCaprio, who we all know. And it's set in the future. It's a futuristic movie. And in that movie, one of the things it talks about is how does an idea become purpose? Ponder that for a second. You know? Young people out there, tweet that. How does an idea become purpose? Right? An idea is I want a sandwich. That's right up here. An idea is I'm thirsty. That's right up here. The challenge we have is that too often our hopes and our dreams that young people have, they're ideas, they're not purpose. What do you want to do? Oh, I want to be an engineer. Really? What do you want to do? I want to be a doctor. Really? What do you want to do? Oh, I want to be an educator. Really? I want to own my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a hip-hop mogul. Ideas. Ideas. How does idea become purpose? How does it become something that's fundamental? And what the movie talked about is it's got to kick down deeper and deeper and deeper until it's in your gut. And the way we kick it down, parents, the way we kick it down, young people, is you got to get yourself into the experiences that help the idea become purpose. That's not one day at the Luke conference. That's not one workshop on college access. That's mom and dad saying, hey, you're a freshman. We going over here to Georgetown. And they're going to serve me, whether you've been to college or not. Because we got to kick that thing down and make it purpose. This is a model that I created, and my vision is to bring it to every club around the world. And it's all about having a system and an approach. And I'm about to move this thing to close and wrap this up. It all comes back to passion, purpose, and potential. If you're not passionate about what you want to do, then you are not going to be very successful at it. You've got to find passion, young people. And I know y'all sitting there like, this brother talking and I'm ready to go, but you got to find passion. Because I'm here to tell you, the game gets real so fast. You got to find passion. But it's not just having passion, but it's also having a clear sense of a purpose and goals of where you want to go and how you want to accomplish it. And you've got to be laser-like focused on this thing. I will maximize all the potential I have in this earth. One of my favorite basketball players is Kobe Bryant. And I know everybody, Kobe, yeah. Thing just came out with Phil Jackson. He was comparing Kobe and Mike. And the Michael Jordan. The conversation's long been settled. Michael Jordan's the greater player. But Phil said something. He said, no one was more focused on maximizing their potential than Kobe. And at the end of the day, there's a lesson in that for all of us. And it's about maximizing that potential. And so how do we go about maximizing that potential? The first thing, you got to make sure you get into building block types of experiences. Drama club, playing youth sports, summer enrichment experiences, getting to the Luke conference, leadership development experiences, studying abroad, traveling, it's experiences, the right jobs, internships. And this is not just the technology for little people. I give this same model when I'm talking to CEOs and presidents of organizations, because it's the same thing. But you got to have the building block experiences. The other piece of it, you got to have credentials. You got to have credentials, degrees. But it's not just a focused credential in anything, but you got to be tapering it and trying to make sure it ladders up to where you have passion and purpose. It's not doing these things willy-nilly, but it's connecting them. The third piece, you got to have relationships. Because what I found is that the further I go, the more it's about the relationships that I have that open up opportunity. For the things that I want to do, I have to be able to capitalize my ideas at the 7, 8, and 9-figure level. It doesn't matter how smart I am. It matters, can I find relationships that help me to capitalize on possibilities? You need mentors who are more senior and advanced to you. And young people, hear me when I say this, peer mentors. Who you spend your time with matters. You also need personal coaches. You need people who are really good at something. And you got to figure out how they can help you. The fourth piece of this is you got to have role models. You got to have role models. I role model myself all the time against folks, whether I know them or not. One of my favorite orators in the world is Bill Clinton. President Clinton is one of my favorite orators in the world because he takes the very complex and he makes it very simple. That's why I like to listen to him. I don't want to be talking in front of a group and you don't understand what I'm talking about because I'm trying to intellectually show how smart I am and all my PhDs and books that I've written. No. I want you to understand what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, it's clarity that leads to impact, and I've only lived my life for one reason, and that's impact. And at the end of the day, it's these 4 key ingredients once you build this system. It's focus, it's being resilient, because life is going to continue to kick you down. We must treat our success and our failures as the same imposter. There's going to be days where it's great. There's going to be days where it's not, but we stay resilient. We stay gritty. We stay fighting. We stay competitive. We approach every aspect of our life in that way. We've got to be disciplined, meaning we say no to this, no to that, to say yes to this. And when you put 10 years on something, after you've built this model, and the way the model works is that every degree, every experience, every relationship, every role model, it's like putting hands on a wheel. And you get that wheel spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. 13 years ago, I was talking to one of my cousins. I won't name him because it's not done yet. He was starting a new company. He hit me up yesterday and said, I got 8-figure investment into my company. My children will be good for the rest of their life. I tell you no lie. 13 years ago, no one knew who John Legend was. John is my other first cousin. And we already know what type of success that brother putting together each and every day. 13 years ago. You got to put time on it, but you got to put the mix together. You got to put the model together. One of my dear mentors, someone I have profound respect for, is President Freeman Herbowski of University of Maryland, Baltimore County. And he ends lectures with the following, and since I was in his backyard, I was going to do the same. The thing that takes the model and takes it to the next level is you got to be mindful. Got to be mindful. Be mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts will become your words. Be mindful of your words, because your words will define your actions. Be mindful of your actions, because over time, your actions will become your habits. Let me say that again. Over time, your actions become your habits. And your habits will define your character. Your habits will define your character. Hear me, young people. Your habits will define your character. And your character will shape your destiny. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for allowing me to be here.